I made this presentation a while ago. I think it still applies to everything we're going to talk about. Yeah, so hopefully it applies to Samsungs as much as possible. I mean, the new iPhone 16 and 17, they really are great. So I don't think you really have to have a professional camera. The reason I do is because I think lenses make the biggest difference. I actually was missing like a piece to my battery. So for a while, I was actually just shooting video on my photo camera, but it's a really old photo camera. So technically it was just 1080p. It wasn't even 4K. But Instagram compresses and stuff. But I think the difference that it made is I was like using a nice lens, 50 millimeters, 1.4 f-stop. We'll talk about that stuff later. And I think that's what made the difference. Obviously, portrait mode in iPhones is mimicking what a good f-stop is. So basically, it's the aperture. It's like, you know, back when it was like film cameras, we had to figure out how to make a film camera like kind of based on our eyes. So, you know, when you go to a movie theater, your pupils get really big because it's taking more light in, and then you leave the theater and your eyes kind of hurt because it's adjusting your irises or your pupils getting smaller. That's kind of what f-stop is. It can allow more light to come in, but then things get more out of focus. So like your face will be in focus, but the stuff right behind you will be more blurry. So that's what portrait mode is kind of like mimicking to make it seem like you have a decent camera with an f-stop, which I think looks more cinematic. So having just a good lens kind of like makes me feel like it's still fine to shoot in 1080 because you want to look a little more professional. I think, like I was saying before when we were talking about Ross's content last week, have some stuff that looks professional, have some stuff on the iPhone. You know, people like the rawness still, but you do want to attract more people. And I think when you do have good production value, or here I'm saying good photos equal good businesses, let's say good videos also equal good businesses, you're attracting people that, to stop the scroll for people who haven't followed you yet, they will feel like they owe it to you because they see that you've kind of upped production value and stuff. I know you do a lot on the iPhone, but it's still like edited well, so that in that sense, the production value is good. There's time and effort thought into the script and stuff. So yeah, if you can do something to level up your content to help stop the scroll. It doesn't have to be a professional camera that shoots up to 6K. It's a little bit of everything, like lighting and stuff. So there's obviously some ring lights over there. We'll play around with those. I don't think ring lights are good, especially those that have the stand, because it's just like kind of flat lighting. I think I was saying the other week before, when you have, especially right now, like let's pretend like the sunlight coming in right now is like this light, like this cheek is more shaded, that's more interesting. We'll talk about that at the end. You want to have something that's not just like boom, light. And then the more shaded shoulder, you usually have like a light behind or a lamp behind, and it gives separation from the background. So when I light, I like to have a diagonal. Like this would be like called the key light, and then the backlight, or I call sometimes a rim light. And then there may be on the other side in the distance, there's like an orange lamp to give stuff depth and stuff. So I like to do a 3-light setup, diagonal from the rim light or the back lighting, key light, and then something else to give the room depth. Sometimes I'll just put like a different LED just bouncing against the black wall to give it a different color or a feel. But we'll talk about that in a bit. So you already know my background, so I'm not really going to go into that. But yeah, just being on sets for a while and then trying to translate it into social media. So if you go to your settings on your iPhone, there's a lot you can do within the camera app, but there's a lot you actually know you can do more when you go to your settings and then photos and do a little more. In the newer iPhones, you can shoot RAW, which all professional cameras do. It's going to be higher file sizes, gigabytes, but if you plan on color grading, then that's what you want to shoot in. If you're not going to color grade and you're just going to add a filter on Instagram, don't waste your time with RAW.
How do you color grade? 'Cause
Honestly, I've done it.
megapixels or
I've done it literally just on the phone. I wish I could find that. I have a pretty good video. Let me see if I can find it, because basically I've done it just in the camera app, and like you don't need a professional's like setting. Let me see. This is actually a really good video to show if I can find it. everything, if you're watching on a phone, it doesn't really matter. Like obviously, color grading and big file sizes, it matters when you're on a screen like this or a projector. But when you're watching something like this, you just want to like kind of double check if you have the settings on Instagram correct. I think there's like a tab where you can be like upload at highest video quality settings and stuff like that. So I think we'll talk about Instagram settings towards the end. But yeah, my friend, I was helping him out with his podcast for a little bit, and it was like really pissing me off how it looked to me like shit. And I was like, dude, all it takes is like just a little bit of time to play around with. Oh yeah, here we go. The rule of thirds is like putting something in like the crosshairs that are not perfectly centered, but like in this photo, obviously symmetry is really nice. You see the lines of the road. You see like there's like an even amount of white in the middle, and these like lines are called leading lines. Is giving the viewer something to like bring something down. Obviously, if there's a subject in the middle or like a yellow taxi, because everything else is kind of like bluish gray, that would be really cool. But we'll talk about composition earlier. Does everyone know what HDR is? It's
High resolution.
high dynamic range. So basically, I think Samsung will do this too. I think automatically, it's pretty much on all iPhones. It's hard to turn it off, but I think you can. Not just in the settings on your camera. I think there's an option to do it in just the camera app as well. It's mainly for photos, but I think they do it for videos as well. Basically, it takes a photo, and there's a slide for each of these in a little bit, so I'll get more in depth. But like, it takes a photo when it's overexposed, it takes a photo when it's underexposed, and it combines the two, so the shadows aren't too dark and the highlights aren't too blown out. So it's mainly used for like outdoor shots. And then does everyone know like the sun, when you click the yellow square, you can change the exposure immediately in the app. So we'll talk about that too. I think the thing that I have the biggest problem is like when people do outdoor shots and they want like the sunset behind them, they're mainly going to be a silhouette. They're going to be dark. So what I like to teach people is like, if you don't have an LED like this, if you want like that shot of the beach, even if it's like purplish orange sky, it's still going to be brighter. Instead of like at 12 o'clock in the day, it's still going to be brighter than the person. So I always try to get like a friend to like hold their iPhone up and turn their flashlight on. The flash and lighting is always going to work when the lighting is closer than the lens. So on a professional photography shoot or photo shoot, the lights are usually in front of the lens and closer to the subject, but it's just out of frame because it's higher and up, or the photographer obviously is not going to get the stand in the shot. So yeah, if you look like a silhouette, if you have an extra friend, or the wait staff in Bali is great, you just have them like hold the second phone or whatever, put the flashlight on, and then that will kind of like make them more exposed. So I love using flash when the lighting behind the person's brighter, and then it really pops. And then you can preserve camera settings too on this if you have something you like and you just want to leave it like that. So every time you open the phone app, it looks the same. That's great. And then obviously I was telling you the first time, like this camera is obviously better than this camera. People want to see themselves, but look how small this is. And like I was saying, it's distorting. It's 24 millimeters technically. We see in 50 millimeters. Everyone has a 50 millimeter lens if you're a photographer. 24 is a little more fisheye. And this is the reason why I think all these Russians have fake lips, because their nose, they're like, oh my God, my nose is so big, because it's the closest to the fucking lens. And then there's styles too. So just check out for one day, like just the settings on your iPhone before you go to the phone app and just play around with all that stuff. Do you guys remember these ads for like Apple? They were like talking about how good their camera was, like shot on iPhone. Composition wise, I think this is really interesting. You have these beautiful gray heads of hair of these grandmas, and you have all this saturation around them. Yellow, orange scarf, blue shirt, red shirt, green bushes, kind of like a muted like red paint job. I think that's beautiful. You know, obviously a lot of people are not going to post a square photo. It's going to be more like, you know, portrait or landscape. But composition-wise, I think this was a really good marketing campaign. And it was showing the capabilities of iPhones. Like, I mean, I remember growing up and everybody's grandma had one of those like little cameras this size and the lens folded into itself, and like that industry is killed because of phone cameras are so good, which is so funny because like everyone had a camera like this size, and then like you turned it on, like the lens extended out. It's like those are all dead.
I want one of those.
And they're coming back, this stuff. So I was talking about RAW. Okay, this is going to take forever. So this was RAW is what we take on professional camera lenses and stuff, and then you color grade or put a LUT on. So this is an uncompressed RAW. It's really flat. It's dark. This is a JPEG file. So obviously you can see there's a little more saturation. The shadows aren't too dark as this. The highlights are a little brighter. So it's a little more contrasty. But when you edit a RAW, you have there's more information because it's a bigger file size. So if you guys know like file sizes, Instagram, you shouldn't be posting a photo that has more than like 11 or 12 megabytes. That's a pretty big file. But when I take a photo on RAW, my professional photo camera, it's like up to 20 megs. So there's a lot of information. But most things get compressed, or like when you add like a profile picture to one of your accounts on like whether it's Gmail or whatever, they always like it has to be 4 megs or less or whatever, because it's going to be like a tiny little thumbnail anyway. So
What is the format of RAW?
it's different for everything. Yeah, see, it's like for like Canon, it's CRW. For Sony, it's like ARW. It usually has R and W in it, but it's big. You can't open it unless you have a photo app, like Photoshop or Lightroom or Capture One.
So the phone takes those photos?
The new iPhones take RAWs, yeah. Yeah, if you have
Also no.
I think 16 and up. Probably Pro though, at least. So basically, the biggest difference that you can see here is this. When it says process, it just means edited. So processed RAW image from here looks like that. Processed JPEG image here. Can anyone tell me like the main difference between the two processed or edited photos? The saturation is both up compared to here. Obviously, yeah, the colors, yeah, the details is what the biggest thing. Exactly, the stones. You can actually see the stones in the water where it's like it's like kind of washed out. Obviously, this is a little more blue tinted. You can change color temperature easy. The colors look better here, and the shadows from this, you were able to pull the shadows without making it look too grainy or whatever. So, obviously, if you're just posting on Instagram, just probably whatever, but just know that there's capabilities of shooting in RAW that are a pretty sizable difference. Like, obviously you notice the color and shit, but I'm so glad you said the detail. I've done this presentation a bunch of times and people don't notice how you can actually really see the stones in the water with.
And what would you use to process it to get to that point?
I use Capture One. I'm very anti-Adobe. I think it rapes artists with like monthly subscription fees.
Something that you I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I was about to show you. I sometimes just edit in my camera app too. The higher the file size, the more things you can play with information-wise. But yeah,
Would you convert it to JPEG afterwards for it to be a smaller?
I always convert to JPEG if I'm editing from RAW. But like most things are going to just be PNG or JPEG, and you can still edit those. It just won't be as large of information.
So the common thing is to edit the RAW and then convert it to the.
Yeah, to JPEG. And it could still be a big file size. Like I usually export my photos to like 11 or 12 megs, even though that's bigger than necessary. What?
A little bit when I see close.
Okay, so real quick. So my friend had a podcast, and look how crazy this shit is. Like he for a few weeks was posting podcasts like this. He got the footage from like the studio, and he was posting clips like this. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Why? It looks so flat, disgusting. I might have did a little overkill, but I quickly edited it to look like the next image I'm going to show you just within iPhone camera settings.
Criminal interview. Oh, wow.
Isn't that amazing? Look at their skin tones. I added a little bit of like a vignette so it's darker around them.
There's more depth.
Yeah, it just, I'm not overkill, I'm not going crazy, but like that was all done within the iPhone app. So let's see if I can. I click revert to go back to the original, and then I kind of just did it again. So I think, yeah, so you go to adjust, and then basically I start with auto, and then auto is going to show you what it fucked with. You see like the white circles around each setting, that's saying how much it adjusted. So the tint is adjusted that way. The vignette is at 0 because there's no circle around vignette. So I first duplicated it so I didn't have to do it all over. I was like, okay, I don't want to start from scratch, but let me show you what it did look like. So we're to revert, see, look how shitty it looks, and then slowly I clicked, I should put this on like double time, this is taking forever. But yeah, so if you can edit your videos or photos within just iPhone camera settings, you just click edit. Is this not playing? Come on. Yeah, so basically, when you go to it, it shows you how much I did highlights. I click, like I said, I click auto first. You click auto, and it will try to do it, but I adjust everything. So highlights, it was pushed a little to the right. You see the yellow, and then for black point, it's like a complete yellow. So it shows you what it did, and if there's no circle around it, like that thing is not. See, vignettes has nothing on it actually, so don't mishear me there. But yeah, okay. So I guess that's all I showed them. So the video's done. But basically, if you go to any video, you can.
So that was just for the magic wand.
But I adjusted everything too. So basically, I saw what it did, and then I fucked around with it. But it shows you what it's doing in real time. So basically, you know, let me show you an example. Okay, I'm at the wrong. So yeah, so let's say I want to edit this. You know, you click edit, then you click auto. Okay, that's more orange than I wanted to be, so I don't really want to, but like, this is fine because it's already professionally edited, but you click auto and then you can see what it did. So you can go to brilliance, like, okay, I'm gonna see this the numbers. So if you go back to 0, then there's no circle around it. And then you can go to contrast and see that it got, it's only at 5. And then if I go less to contrast, my biggest problem with the way it edited it was and black point is just like making the blacks black. It's just like the extra version of shadows. Saturation, I think the saturation's fine. The problem I have with it is the warmth. So I would go back this way to make it a little more bluer, and then I think I'm like happy right there. Oh, see, at 0, I wouldn't have to change it. And I said, my eyes just knew it immediately. I think whatever auto was fine, but they made it too warm. Because she already has, her skin tones is good. I just look at the skin tones, I look at the whites. If her teeth are a little yellow, then I'll put the warmth a little more blue. I just try to look at the whites of the eyes and the teeth and then go from there. Obviously, like, I've been drinking coffee for many years, so my teeth are yellow, obviously, and the biggest advantage of editing in Photoshop or Lightroom or something is like I can just select the teeth and just get those edited to a certain degree, where when you're editing like this, it's doing the overall image. So if you want to, and the one thing whenever I edit like a photo, and yeah, I didn't even fuck with the last 4 settings, so there's no circle around it.
Lightroom is for video edition?
No, photo.
It's like Photoshop?
Yeah, it's like a more user-friendly version of Photoshop. Photoshop, like you're selecting layers and this and that. Lightroom, it's just like this and this. I don't know if you can select like the whites of the eyes and like the teeth as much, but I think you can like edit blemishes.
I normally use Photoshop.
Yeah. If you know Photoshop, just use Photoshop.
Same.
Yeah, it's both Adobe. This is rule of thirds. If you can put grid on in your iPhone setting too. If you like, when I've shot for other people and they have better iPhones than me, they'll hand me their phone, they'll have grid on, and they know where they want to be framed. They're like, make sure my feet are at like the lower line. It's just 2 lines horizontally, 2 lines vertically. Our eyes naturally go to these few places. I think it's our many generations of recognizing faces. So if you look at somebody's face, the 2 top crosshairs of rule of thirds is where our eyes are. So think of it that way. And then like if somebody has dimples, that's like the lower 2 rule of thirds. Obviously there's a time and place for symmetry, but because there's a study shown that like our eyes go to those places. When you look at a painting, when you look at certain things that are framed or whatever, it kind of all has like rule of thirds in it. Obviously, like I said, there's a time and place for symmetry, but I think rule of thirds makes certain things interesting and leading lines. Like, technically, the skateboarder's head is not really in the rule of thirds. It's pretty much his skateboard a little bit, but this I love because as a photographer, it's just innate in me that I love making triangles. I love how there's a triangle of black right here. There's kind of like a triangle with the water and the mountains right here. And there's like a leading line of the yellow line that literally goes to his face, which I think is really cool.
I think in that one, it's like the depth goes exactly to this point. It's like, you know, like
Yeah.
the,
And he could have, he could have been a rapid fire, being like, but he chose this one to edit or choose because the yellow line lines up with his face. The light leak of the sun coming in is pretty beautiful. The shadow's really cool. It's cut right at his head. This one I love too because the leading line of the arch goes to the only guy with white hair. That's really cool. And it's pretty like earth tones. The only thing that kind of pops is like the green bottle of water, which is kind of like this rule of third here. There's the depth, which is either a mirror or people on the other side of this thing. There's also another leading line from this like back wall to his head as well. So there's like two leading lines. There's depth, and there's triangles as well. Like I said, I love triangles. So this shot I think is really interesting, but I think both of these shots are too. And I'll show you examples of my own photography later. This is explaining HDR. So this is an underexposed photo, this is an overexposed photo, and it combines the two and makes so the clouds aren't blown out and she's not underexposed. So obviously I was saying it's mainly used for outside. If you want to just try disabling it, if you do disable it, then that's when I play with the sun. You click the orange square, the yellow square, and then you can drag the sun up and down to expose things properly. Because like, okay, I want, if something is blown out like this, you can't get that back, even on a raw image. You can't pull whites back if they're completely white. Yeah, it's better to have things underexposed and play with the shadows a little bit more, like the photo with the rocks under the water, than to have something overexposed, unless you're trying to go for that. Like I've done stuff where I play with it, but like, this cloud is always gonna be white, but clouds are white, so who the fuck cares? But like, there's a little more like color in the rocks compared to here. So basically, if you are gonna choose to edit the photo in any program you use, then maybe have HDR disabled. If you don't want to edit too much, you want to just put an Instagram filter on, HDR is great, because I think this is like Instagram ready, thinking of it like that. Okay, so yeah, so here's the sun, you know what I mean? So obviously once these clouds are white, they're white, but it's caring more about the buildings, so that's why you drag the sun up to like make sure this is overexposed. Obviously, if you tap the sun here, it will do an auto reading of the light, and then it will make it dark like this. If you tap the sun here, or like the square here, then you don't really have to do that. So, but it's wherever you want to select where it's going to like do an exposure reading. Tap the sun. So usually, if you're taking a picture of a person, tap their face, and then drag the sun up and down until you feel happy, or it will automatically do that if you just tap the square. But just an example that you can change the exposure. Because with phones, you can't change the f-stop, you can't change the shutter speed really, but it has just ISO, which is like how grainy an image is. So if you're in a really dark lighting, have you, like in a nightclub or a bar, have you noticed those photos suck? Because it's automatically doing, it's trying to understand the pixels and the lighting. So that's a good example of when I was talking about if your friend wants the sunset behind them, have your other friend pull out their flashlight, have the light closer. This fucking flash sucks. And like I said, I don't like when you have like a ring light and it's just flat lighting. When you have your friend holding their iPhone up, you are gonna get that 45-degree angle. One cheek is a little more shaded. It looks more professional, and I'll show you examples later. So the one thing I was saying you can't really change that many settings in iPhone, but the one thing you can change now is if you notice when you are in a dark bar or an environment, it does, if you don't want to put flash on, it does that thing where it does like 3 seconds, where like it's going to take more information in to understand. You just have to hold your camera really still. Have you noticed that? Does it do that in Samsung too, where it just like holds the camera for 3 seconds? Whatever.
That's for capturing more light.
It's taking more information, yeah, and so it'll make the blacks blacker and like the other information. So basically, that's the one thing it can. So that's actually relating to shutter speed. It's basically how open your camera is. So when I'm taking a photo on my professional camera, my shutter speed is going to be 1/125 or 1/100, and that means 1/100th of a second. So if you have a long exposure, like have you seen those photos of like the Milky Way galaxy, like the bright lights? That's basically somebody's camera is on a tripod and they are opening the shutter for at least a minute or 30 seconds. So they're getting a lot of information, but because the camera's on a tripod, you're not moving. There's no motion blur. So that's the one thing you can change a little bit with the lighting is opening it up for stuff. So does anyone know how this photo was taken?
Yeah, with a tripod and like long.
And a flash.
Yeah.
Yeah, long exposure and a tripod. And it does look like there's either a light or flash, or maybe a street light. But as somebody with this background, I can already notice his shadow. Do you see like the shadow of his shoes? So there's a light coming from this way on him. It might be a street light, or maybe the photographer has a light that's on a trigger thing.
How
But
do you choose the time manually in the iPhone?
So it's an actual photo.
you
it's
can't
not
really
graphics?
do that. What? Yeah, that's a photo. Yeah, it's a long exposure. He has to stay still, but he's also lit as well. So I'll show you later. I've done stuff like this too.
because if he
So if you have a flash and you're doing a long exposure, it doesn't have to be for that long too. I love doing this photography at events where I have a flash on and I open it up for like, one of a third second. And then I'll move the camera a little bit, so if it's a concert, you see the lights behind the artist, like kind of like blur, but since the flash is on, it still captures the artist's face without being blurry.
But how do you do that with iPhone? Because I tried to do that, but if
I don't
there
think
is-
it can open
there
for
is
more than 3
enough
seconds.
light, it just takes it immediately.
Yeah. So you might have to go to your settings instead of what's on your camera app and see if you can change that. I know, real quick, when you go to your camera, it's like, okay, you can change this, like live photo. So you can do, live actually will do that a little bit. So live is taking more seconds to make a GIF. So live is the closest to like 3 seconds. So my camera sucks, I got it cracked a little bit, so I'm not gonna show you the best example. So if you do have live on, and then you shake when you take a photo, so like obviously you could see like a little bit of motion blur. So if you do live photo and a flash, I think you can convert this to, oh, never mind. Oh, wait, yeah, you can click live again, and then look, when you click live, it says long exposure. Rocio, look. If you have a live photo, see it says live here, you can click live, and then you click long exposure, and it will make it for you. So that's the long exposure, but if you had a light on it, so that's the only way you can change. So when you shoot a live,
You already took the photo?
yeah. So take a photo on live,
Okay.
and then you could do loop bounce, which it gives you that. Have you noticed that in Instagram when you take a live photo, it can make a GIF for you? Isn't that cool? So if you had the light on, so play around with trying to do this, but it's only going to be for 3 seconds.
Okay, you have to take the photo first and then.
Yeah, so just play around with now that you know that. Like nobody knows that like you can make live exposures. So if I had this light on me and you did it, then all around me would be a little bit blurry, but then my face would be, and then people are like, oh, how'd you do that? And you're like, I actually do that on the iPhone. But how? I'm not going to tell you. It's like there's a lot of things. So that's the only thing. This is exposure. It's kind of like ISO. The only thing you can really change in iPhone settings is like shutter speed, which is how long it's open for and taking information in. So this is obviously a professional camera, and basically this is either a bus or it's definitely a bus because there's no train track. So this is a bus and street lights. So this is probably open up for like maybe 8 to 10 seconds to have that motion blur. And he's lit well, so even though he might be moving a little bit because I see the shadow on him or the photographer had a flash, it's okay. So you could probably achieve some of this in an iPhone if you have a tripod, the subject's lit well, and you click live photo and then you convert.
The tripod for that.
Because if your camera's not shaky, everything will be blurry.
He's the-
Even he would be blurry if it's not on a tripod.
But how do people take pictures without a tripod and not make it blurry?
I don't know.
What people do.
How people what?
Well, like, I can take a picture right now, it will not be blurry. Even though I'm
Well, because the shutter, because your shutter speed's not open that up much. I'm saying if you're opening, if you're trying to do for three, if you're trying to get these lighting effects, because you thought this was all Photoshop or like somebody made that
yeah.
in post. This is obviously the colors are edited, the blacks look good, the saturation's probably up, but this is pretty much all camera. Like I had a really cool. I was doing like long exposure. Actually, I actually really want to show you this because I think it's pretty cool. So basically, I had I did a road trip from New York, from LA to New York, and I stopped in all these national parks on the way. There's this time I was in Glacier National Park, so there's really cool mountains, and I could see the Milky Way without doing a long exposure. I could literally see like the cluster of stars. Obviously, it was going to look better when I did a long exposure on my tripod, but it was like really cool to see. And so I was just playing around. I was literally like 23, 24 years old. I wasn't like a seasoned photographer. I didn't hit my like 10,000 hours yet. Why the fuck does it not have me signed in already? Okay, it might be on Chrome. I opened up too many things. SoundCloud, yeah, okay, so this is still my profile picture from like way back when I liked using SoundCloud, but I have no idea how to find this photo except for on SoundCloud. So my camera, other cameras can do it for longer, but my camera could only open up the shutter for like 30 seconds, but it was still long enough. So I did that all myself in camera. Does anyone know how I did that? So you can see the Milky Way. This is not Photoshop. This is literally just all in camera. Does anyone know how I did that?
How do you do that? Shutter speed, right?
Well, the shutter's open 30 seconds. I said that.
Tripod,
Oh, but that's your camera, not the phone.
big flashlight.
Yes. So you can see, on my shadows, you can see the stars through it. So what I did is I took a long exposure and I took 2 steps and I turned the flashlight on for a second. I took 2 more steps and I turned the flashlight on for a second. So
What are those faces?
that's me
That's him.
with my hoodie on.
So the
So you
camera
see my body. So like I
Or
put the
your
camera
wings
up.
moving.
I put the camera up. It's on a tripod. It's taking 30 seconds of information and light to get the Milky Way. But because the flashlight's so bright, I only had to open it up for like a half a second. It's like I stood in front of the camera over here and I leaned back. I like boop, turned the flashlight on, and then I took 2 steps, boop, turned the flashlight on, and I walked out.
How did you combine that into one photo?
I didn't.
the camera does
It was open for 30 seconds.
slowly taking the photo.
So for 1 second, I stood in front of the camera and I turned the flashlight on that I had for 1 second. But how bright the flashlight is, it wasn't gonna. I mean, I played around with the settings and it's like, oh, this is
Why
cool.
there is only one you and there are 2 faces?
No,
There's
it's
2
two-
me's.
That's his
No,
two-
in real life there is only one.
Yeah.
Picture there are 2 faces.
Because it was open for 30 seconds, and for 1 second I turned the flashlight on, and I took 2 steps, and I turned the flashlight on, and I got out of the frame.
That's a real camera, it's not a phone.
But he got it. He was like, it was just a flashlight. But like I said, because I wasn't in the shop for the whole time, there's it took more information of the environment and the nature than it did me. But because the flashlight's so bright, the highlights still got it imprinted on the.
Oh, I see it now.
You get it?
Yeah, I see it now.
So, but I love how I kind of framed it too. Like my shoulders are almost leaning against the trees. You know what I mean? Like I only stood in the negative area. I think I did a couple versions of this, but this was my favorite one because I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like my shoulders leaning against the tree. It's almost like that leading line stuff. I'm leaning back. Obviously, it's brighter here because the flashlight is closer to my belt, but it, my shoulders are not lit because like my stomach and abdomen is covering where the flashlight's gonna hit. But yeah, isn't that cool? I was like super happy. I was like, oh, I could like get myself. And you know, you with a flashlight too, with a long exposure, you can write stuff. You know, you can spell stuff out if you've tried it out. It's really cool. Like, yeah, you've seen that, right? Yeah. So it's like there's a lot of stuff you can do with long exposures, but you have to have the settings right. You know what I mean? Because then it would be all over. I mean,
You have a camera, not a
you have the camera because we just realized even with live, it's only going to be up to 3 seconds or whatever. When you're in a dark bar or an environment, it's only going to be up to 3 seconds.
That's why I want to at least the small cameras with this lens that
Yeah.
right.
So yeah, I was showing you the settings. Understood that. The bigger apps, like these are the only things I really play with on the iPhone stuff. If you guys want me to send you this too, I can put it in the Google Drive as well if you want to look at it. Basically, the biggest thing for opening a desktop app is the selection. You can see this whole image is kind of orange and overexposed, but they must have like masked and selected the phone to like make sure it wasn't overexposed. You can see like that's the only part where there's blue. You can see like the blue tent or beach chairs across from her that she's viewing on the phone. And it looks like they kind of selected her nails too and punched it up. Those nails are really like saturated and contrasty. So that's the one big thing about, like there's more phone apps or photo apps or video apps for editing on your mobile that are better than just whatever. But I think you can even mask a little bit. But I think,
That's up.
what?
I have one.
There's a bunch. I really don't use them because I just like using my desktop.
That's cut.
CapCut?
That's cut.
I don't know that one.
I'm a professional photo editor if any.
Yeah, Rosio will edit your event thumbnail. So
I'm a photo.
on a professional camera, like I was saying, you have ISO, which is basically on a sunny day you're going to be at 100, and that's going to give you the most crisp information. If you're in a dark bar, you're going to be at 3200, but it's going to be really grainy. So this is actually relating back to like when people had film cameras too. You know, that meant the stock of footage. So if I shoot on my film camera where I put literally a roll of film, I can only change shutter and I can only change f-stop because the roll of film that you put in is in relationship to ISO or the stock of film. So if you had 100 film stock, it's like similar to ISO film. So if you notice, it's usually 100, 200, or 400. So once the film is loaded, ISO or ASA in what it's called in film, that's just what it is. So obviously there's a lot more things you can change on a digital camera because you can change ISO, f-stop, and shutter speed. And if it's a really sunny day and you want something where the background's blurry, which I was saying like f-stop, and the person is in focus, there's a problem with that because on a really sunny day, you're going to be at like 100 ISO, so things aren't blown out and white. The shutter, you can be pretty high, like 1/400 of a second. Usually I say I shoot at 1/100 or 1/125. And then f-stop is going to be at like 16. F-stops usually go from like 2.4 to 16. People think shutter speed is the only fraction, but technically f-stop is a fraction too, but no one says it like that. So when you're at 2.4, it's actually 1/2.4. So whatever's closest to 1 is going to let the most light in. Like I was saying, similar to our pupils dilating. When you do that though, on a sunny day, everything's going to be blown out. So if you want that cinematic effect where the background's blurry and the person's in focus, you need an ND filter, which stands for neutral density. So it's basically like a sunglass for your lens. Have you seen those photographs in nature where it's like a picture of a waterfall and the waterfall looks really smooth? The water, that's a long exposure of nature. You know, long exposures are for like that kind of light stuff with the traffic. Like that's a long exposure, obviously. Maybe somebody spinning like those colorful poise at a festival. But the long exposure for like a waterfall, so the water's smooth because it's taking like 20 seconds of the water, so it's like a combination of the water, so it's like this like kind of ghosty effect. That's only possible with an ND filter because you're gonna, outside on a sunny day or even in the shade outside in nature, it's gonna be too much light if you're doing, even if you're at 100 ISO, even if you're at like a low f-stop, it's going to be too much light. So you actually, photographers have these like sunglasses you attach to your lens, and that gives you more range of what to do when you want to make something look cinematic and all that stuff. So not something you always need to know, but yeah, so f-stop, there it is. There's the aperture, you see. So it goes to 16 to like 2.4, I was saying. Better lenses go down to 1.8 or 1.4. One of my lenses goes to 1.4. And that's gonna be really cool where like I can get somebody's eye in focus, and by the time it gets to their ear, it's out of focus. It's like so when you watch movies or something cinematic, that's what it is. They have a really low f-stop, or in video it's called a t-stop. So so yeah, this is the shutter right here. So like I said, these are fractions. So you see how it has an X next to 125? That's most typical for decent photography. You want to be 1/25 of a second. Also, X is also showing that when you have a flash synced to your camera, that is the best setting for your flash to actually look good. Sometimes when you take a flash and you're on the wrong shutter speed, half of the photo will be like black. It just like, it's a delayed effect. So 1/25 is the basic. And then obviously you can see it goes all the way down to 1. So that means that's going to be opened up to 1 second. If you have a better camera though, you can open up the settings and you can try to do 1/30 of a second. So on a really, really sunny day, if you want to shoot at 2.8, which is going to let more light in, you can go all the way up on your shutter speed to 1/4000th of a second. But just know that like, yeah, there's other things that are going to play into that photo. Does anyone know what WB stands for? White balance, yeah. So I was shooting something earlier today, and I was going inside and outside, and every time I went outside, I have to redo the white balance so things weren't too yellow, and every time I went inside, I had to redo the white balance so things weren't too blue, because it's going to be shaded differently. Okay, almost done. So when I was talking about like the automatic settings for the iPhone, I think at some bank or whatever. I don't know if you can see this here, but can anyone tell me why this photo sucks? And I think this is a zoomed in version of this. Do you see the pixels in the grain? It's noise. Yeah, so it's noise. So this is
Lower quality.
it wasn't working.
It's lower quality because of the light.
Yeah. So, well, it was actually the lens. So this
It's with the camera, no?
this is with the 1X lens,
And this one?
and this is with 0.8X. So you know when you switch from lenses and stuff, if you are at 1X, that's the best for automatic settings. So let's say you want to you're trying to zoom out and you're trying to get your friend in the shot. So when you're at, 0.5 sucks. It does. I mean, it's fine, but I'm sure you can notice the grain and the quality is not crisp. So what I'm saying, no, it's not fine. You're right. You're right. Unless you have decent lighting. But the point is, even with sunlight coming onto the floor, obviously the window's right there, the front door, the glass door, and white reflects light, black subtracts light. So there's a bounce of light from the fucking tile floor, and even this fucking photo sucks with all the little grains and the pixels. This is zoomed in of this. So this is 0.8X. So my point is, the biggest difference is I can see the bottom of the tripod stand. I can see just the kind of the base of the tripod stand of this stupid sign. Is that if you want to zoom out a little bit, and you're like, you have to know when you're at 0.7X or 0.8X or 0.9X, you are on the 0.5X lens just zoomed in. Yeah. So it's like if you want to, if you can't fucking step back. If you need something wider, step back. 0.5 is great for certain things. There's a fisheye effect, all the Russian lips like I was talking about. But basically is if you can get a photo and you want to get everyone in the shot, don't be like, oh, let me go to 0.5. Fucking step back if you have a room behind you, because the 1x lens is so much better, and I hate seeing noise and image grain and all that stuff. And the biggest difference is just maybe what, a half a foot. I'm sorry, I'm American. I don't,
Can we
a couple like,
deactivate the
a lot of
0.5?
centimeters. Like, you know.
Can we
17
deactivate
centimeters.
the 0.5 in the camera? Because when I'm recording and I want to zoom out, it jumps to the 0.5 and it's like,
I kind of like that though, as a video.
it changes in 1 second from good image to all dark.
Oh yeah, you
dark
can
pixels.
tell, yeah, because it's automatic ISO and it's going to be
But I
grainy.
would like to even never use 0.5 to even remove it from my phone forever.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but ask ChatGPT. All right, let's move along because I know we should take a break soon. But we did start late. Okay, so talking about composition, I was showing you about rule of thirds and everything, right? So obviously there's a time and place for symmetry, right? You see the leading lines here. You see the sunset is like resting right at the end of the dock. And that's just the photographer like moving up and down. Like if the photographer moved up or down, the orange line of the sunset or the horizon could be lower or whatever. But I love how there's like this little rectangle of blue right at the end of the dock. You know, that's really good composition. But this is great because of leading lines. You know, you see this line is going towards here. The mountain is going towards the person's head. You know, like think about that stuff when you take photos. Obviously, this is more of like a video course, but like this still can relate to video, okay? It's composition. Yeah, leading lines, rule of thirds, symmetry, all that fun stuff. Like I said, I'll send you guys all this. So with lighting though, the reason why this sucks is because there's a law of diminishing returns. It's based on the surface area of this light and how much distance it is to the subject. So it actually goes exponentially lower. So it's not going to do that well as opposed to somebody holding up their flash, like I was saying, and that's closer to the person. It's just high enough and out of shot, and you get that cool like shadow on one of the cheeks. The reason most of my LEDs are rectangle is for this exact reason. I know some people have like these square LEDs, but you want to have more surface area, so the law of diminishing returns is actually going to affect this person. So why I was talking about like black subtracts light, white reflects light, it has the same thing to do with skin. So when let's say I have a group photo like of like you five, and I have, you know, Mr. Amazing Waiter holding up the LED or my flashlight or something to one of the sides. I'm gonna reposition all of you so where the light is coming from is closer to you guys, because you guys are darker skinned. Slava and Konstantin are gonna be all the way to the left.
Yeah, because like
Come on, guys. I'm almost done. Do it later. Okay. But you guys are similar tones. So what I'm saying is, like, if you have somebody lighting stuff, rearrange people without making it sound racist. You have darker skin than them. You're South American, Central American, so you're going to be like right in the middle. So if I have somebody holding up the light, it's going to come from this way. You guys are going to receive light better. I don't want to make Slava look like a ghost by having the light coming to this side. See, you see how like white this ginger is? He's a ginger. So look at it. So the light is next to him. Obviously, she has the light behind her, and she's darker skinned. But yeah, just think about that. So this light is still hitting her. She still is receiving purple. If she was like darker skinned or like, you know, she seems like, you know, mixed. She still gets this orange light behind her hitting her side, but the purple light still bleeds to her face. But obviously, this is way too overexposed, and obviously, I don't like this. This is called split lighting, where one face is lit, one face is like. I want to see the light at a 45-degree angle. This cheek is lighter, this cheek is darker, but the light is getting to the darker side of the cheek and giving you a triangle. We'll talk about lighting in a little bit and how it looks. So think about that. Law of diminishing returns, white and black. Oh, so if you are in like a dark setting at a bar or whatever, obviously, if I was taking a photo of you guys here, I would not take it against that wall of curtains. I'll take it here because there's at least sunlight coming in from here. Or if you are in a dark place and there's no light coming, if you were in like a bar or whatever and you want to get a little group photo, even with like your friend holding a flash up, make sure whatever's opposite you is lighter. So like I would flip around. So basically this white wall is going to bounce light and this would look better compared to that wall, which is black on this side and green on that side. It doesn't have to be completely white, but I'm saying maybe obviously that being across from me is going to be better than that black paint. This light green or light pink or light blue or whatever, that's going to give me more light because it's called like a bounce. And in photography, we have V-flats, which we'll talk about. Okay, yeah, so here's the lighting I was talking about. So this is like the most ideal lighting, kind of in the middle. Like she's got a shaded cheek here. You can see the neck shadow is darker, but she has that triangle of light under her cheekbone. It's called Rembrandt lighting. This lighting is a little disgusting because she's got like under eye bags. I think obviously the light's coming from higher, probably too high. You can see how dark the neck shadow is compared to here. And this is kind of similar too. And then this is like split lighting, like I was telling you before, like where one person is like dark and whatever. It's obviously more creative. Like you can see that guy's album cover with the blue background. That's split lighting. You know, so one of his side of his face is completely lit, the other side is completely dark. It's fine for certain cases, but like I'm saying, for Instagram and social media, try to get this. You know what I mean? You don't want to have under eye bags. Look how dark her nose shadow is over her lips. You know what I mean? This is disgusting too to me. So like that's
Kind of like 45 degrees from the
yeah. Try to have 45-degree angle and like kind of tilt it down. You're gonna have a little bit of a neck shadow, but
Which is good.
But
which
instead
is
of
fine. Yeah.
45, it's like straight.
No,
No, it's not straight. There's more neck shadow on this side.
45 to the side?
45-degree
No,
angle.
like this.
To the side.
Like,
So this
like
is how I would light myself.
So,
If I'm sitting here, that. It's a split lighting would be right here. I'm just looking at the camera. Split lighting would be here. So this cheek is lit, this cheek is that.
It's here.
The camera's right here. Yeah. So 45. You want it to. Well, we'll play around with whoever's gonna shoot, but like we're gonna play around with this, and you'll see the difference. But like the biggest tell sign is the shaded cheek still have a little bit of a triangle on the shaded side. The light should still surpass your nose to get onto this side.
and that's why also even makeup helps.
Yeah. So
Makeup.
for most cinematic stuff, whenever you watch a movie, I want you to. So most, there's only 3 examples here, but like most good lighting when you watch a movie is the shaded side of the cheek, and even in documentaries too. You know, you'll have like the person like kind of looking straight forward, wide shot, and then they'll cut to the close up of the person in an interview. It's called like a 2-camera shoot, like the talking head. This person's talking about this event or this thing in history, and then it cuts to B-roll or whatever. When they come back to the person, they have the nice wide shot, but they always cut to the close up, which is kind of at an angle, and you'll notice usually the shaded side of the cheek is closer to the lens. And they do this not just in documentaries, but in film too. So when Jonah Hill's eating a fish in Wolf of Wall Street, the shaded side of the cheek is closer to the lens. It's hard to see here, but like in Mad Max. So when Furiosa, Charlize Theron's character, the sun is in the desert is on this side, so that cheek is obviously a little more brighter, and her shaded side of the cheek is closer to the lens. It's not the best example because his head is turned, but the shaded side of the cheek is kind of closer to the lens. The cool thing, this is what I was talking about earlier, the shaded side of the cheek should have something behind it. There's that rim lighting. You see there's like a glow of yellow around his neck and his shoulder and a little bit of his hair. That light from the street light or like the corner of the house light is giving him that separation. That's cool depth. So try to think about like doing something like this. Obviously, there's barely a little bit of triangle of light on that side, but you know, movement-wise, you know, the cinematographer has to tell the lighting department to do certain things in that way. Okay, almost done. I think I have like 3 slides left. So in photography, like I was saying, in a photo studio, there's V-flats. One, it's like cardboard. One side is black, one side is white. White reflects light, black subtracts light. So Obviously, you know, she's got the triangle on the shaded side of the cheek. She's got the triangle on the shaded side of the cheek. She's got the triangle on the shaded side of the cheek. The only thing that changes here is the V flat. So V flat is on her shaded side. So when there's the flash coming down from this way, it bounces off the white side and makes the shadows less harsh. This is the white V flat, but it's further away. And then the V flat is changed to the black side, so it's more contrasty. For a headshot, I think these look better. This is a little more dramatic and stuff for like e-commerce. You're not gonna wanna do that. A little more cinematic. So thinking about what's on the other side or whatever, that's what black and white walls do or cardboards do. And you even on set too, people are gonna have those like reflectors too. I have a reflector with a white side, a black side, and like a gold side. So if I'm bouncing the sunlight, I'm like giving somebody like an orange glow. So can anyone tell me why these photos suck?
Because the lights are everywhere.
Yeah, the only thing that's different here is the color temperature. He changed the blue tint to a little more orange tint. The thing that sucks about this is
All the shadows in the face.
his shadow is on this girl's forehead. She's completely in the shadow except for the fucking her hair. So as a wedding photographer, this person is obviously not a wedding photographer. It's somebody just taking a photo, is a fucking friend. So what I would say is basically, as if I was even without a professional camera, if I had somebody's iPhone or whatever and I was just doing a favor to whatever, the wedding, the one thing I would do, this is golden hour too. You can see how the lighting is like kind of orange too. So like the sun is lower in the sky. There's a reason why I never shoot in the middle of the day outside, because the sun is completely in the middle of the sky. So it's gonna do, oh, here it is. It's gonna do something like fucking this, where the sun is in the middle of the sky and we're at the equator, so it gets fucking high. You're gonna get all these like under eye shadows from your eyebrows, or you're gonna get a crazy nose shadow because the sun is directly. So if I do a photo shoot outside, it's always in the morning or it's always at night, because the sun is gonna be closer to fucking this. It's gonna be more at a 45-degree angle.
Before the sunset or
Yeah. So like, sorry. So like 3 to 5:45, or like 4 to 6:15. That's better lighting.
It cannot be like this, it should be like this.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be higher than this. The sun, yeah, or so in the morning from like 7 to 10, which is great before it gets like too hot in the middle of the day. I hate like editing sweat beads off people's faces anyways. I'm not gonna do a photo shoot at 1 p.m. and the lighting sucks. Unless I'm all in the shade and I have somebody holding a reflector or a bounce board, then whatever, maybe I'll shoot in the middle of the day. But think about that. You want your photos to look like this, not like these. So yeah, so basically what I would do to make this photo better is I would look at the lighting. It doesn't matter if it's a professional camera, it doesn't matter if it's an iPhone. I would tell everybody, hey, move all to the right. Hey, move all to the left. Make sure they're all evenly lit. Or like, you know, when I have like my parents visiting me in Bali and we're going to like cool naturey stuff, and you know, my dad's pale as fuck, my mom tans really well, there's like different like skin tones, but like tell everyone to either get all in the shade or all in the sunlight. And the one thing too that's annoying is dappled light. So like if you are in the shade, you have to be aware that if you're in the shade and there's like one of these kind of trees that isn't full, it's called dappled lighting. When it comes through the branches and through the leaves, there's gonna be pockets of overexposed and there's gonna be pockets of shadow. So even though my dad's gonna be squinty as fuck because his eyes are blue like mine, and it's really bright for people with blue eyes, I'd rather somebody be squinty than like have somebody's face be like dappled with a shadow from a leaf or a tree branch. So if you're gonna tell everyone to move into the shadow, be aware of dappled lighting, which is coming through branches and stuff, and it's not consistent. So sometimes it's better to put everyone in the sun. All right, very close to being finished. These are actually my photos except for this one. This was with obviously the front lens because I was looking at myself, so it's not like a high quality photo, but I like the leading lines. Like it's not completely parallel, but I like how like this black bar or this structure to the patio is kind of like even with the frame. There's like kind of, like I said, I love triangles and stuff. Obviously, the shaded side of the cheek is closer to the lens. The brighter cheek is away. This one is a little bit of a motion blur where I had probably the shutter, well, probably at 1/80 because it was dark. It was a dark bar, but the drummer's moving fast, so he has that motion blur with his drumstick. I like this because of the framing too. Part of the drum is is out of focus, the tom-tom, and the cymbal too, but they're kind of opposite each other, and he's framed kind of nice. It's kind of symmetrical, but there's like kind of the almost rule of thirds too with like the drumstick. This I thought was interesting. I was just taking a picture of this villa I was staying at, and I was telling the caterer to go through the back door so we could drop off the food at the kitchen. I couldn't help myself. I just have this eye where, you know, I made the line, you know, of the roof of the garage kind of parallel with a shadow, and I kind of like how this is the door's rule of thirds. I was trying to show obviously the sign of what the villa is called, the door, but I think this is a kind of an interesting photo. If I wanted to be a little more interesting, I would have probably pulled the yellow scooter out, so it was in between the level of this scooter, and like kind of had that like leading line triangle, similar to like the billiard balls I was showing you earlier. And then this is from like one of these concerts that I shot. I had flash on. You can see his neck shadow a little bit. If I wanted to make this more interesting, he had a projector behind him. I might crop this right here because obviously I said I don't mind triangles, but to make it seem like this cool like galaxy background, and maybe crop the bottom a little bit, then it would be a little bit cooler, whatever. So just think about like, it's better to not crop and post and just get it ready because you're just losing pixels and quality as you crop in. But I don't mind this photo still. This photo I just saw on Instagram, and he's not like professional. This is probably just an iPhone or a Samsung or whatever. But whoever took the photo, I thought it was still pretty interesting for an iPhone shot. You kind of have like a leading line with this bar towards the coffee cup. You have his reflection in the glass door from this. This would only be possible though if he's lit though. Obviously the shadow part of his back is not reflecting the glass. It has to be like something that's lit. I like the depth of the window behind here. There's a pockets of like orange, or sorry, yellow and red and green, and everything else is pretty much earth tones and white and black. There's not really like that triangle I was talking about completely like the Rembrandt lighting, but there is a little bit of fall off from the sunlight on his cheek, and I think that's kind of cool too. So it's not completely split lighting. So yeah, for just like a simple iPhone shot, I thought this was pretty interesting. If he cropped it a little bit more, it would have created another triangle up here. And I like how like the line of the depth of the corner is just past his face. I think that's cool. Like I don't want to see something coming out of your head. When we do lighting and setting up people's shots, I hate seeing people like shoot like a video and there's like a plant behind them and it looks like antlers or something. If you want to have depth or something behind you, have it over your left shoulder, have it over your right shoulder. There should be a clean space around your upper shoulders, or basically neck and head. Just have that space clean, whatever it is behind you. You shouldn't, like, I would not like this photo as much if this line was coming out of his head like a fucking like alien antenna or something, you know what I mean? So I thought whatever this person did who took it, his girlfriend or whatever, I think she did a good job. She has an eye, you know what I mean? This shit's kind of just innate in me, so I can't help it. So I feel like a third of photography though is like posing. You know, obviously this is more about video and stuff, but like think about posing, you know what I mean? Obviously this is an interesting shot with like the leading lines, there's depth here, but like I said, I love triangles. I love, like there's kind of a triangle like kind of in her arm right here, very slivery triangle. There's like kind of a triangle here with her hair. There's a triangle here in this guy's face. There's kind of a triangle here between his pants and his forearm. Kind of a triangle with this shadow, triangle here, triangle here. So I mean, now that I'm drilling triangles in your head, it's gonna be hard for you to unsee and think about that kind of stuff. So posing, you know, you want people natural. I love the depth of this room, you know, rule of thirds kind of. This is symmetrical, but she's doing a weird pose. But like models have to do weird poses and trying to make them look natural. Obviously this is a little extreme, but this is probably a weird pose. His lower back and knees might be hurting, but he fucking pulls it off, you know what I mean? It's like, it's still kind of interesting. So yeah, think about that. And obviously you can see, this is kind of like the same lighting, like the shaded side of the cheek, she still kind of has like a little bit of a triangle of lighting on the darker side of the cheek. Yeah, Every Welsh is not the best example of Rembrandt lighting. So posing too. So if you have a good model, she's gonna do this within like 30 seconds. And you could be like rapid fire. She's like, she hears the click and then she moves. She hears the click, then she moves. So you wanna make stuff look natural. And then here's like another basic example of like the certain type of lighting. Paramount, which is a little more overhead because of the neck shadow. Clamshell is when there's a reflector below. So it's good for like makeup campaigns because it's eliminating the neck shadow a little bit more. So there's a light coming on her, and then there's a reflector that's kind of silver or white that bounces from the flash and comes back up. So basically light from here, reflector from here, clamshell. Loop lighting, I think that's more, it is actually kind of Rembrandt. And the loop is actually more Rembrandt than Rembrandt because this Rembrandt looks too much like the split because I think that cheek is a little more dark. I guess what they're talking about loop is like what I was talking about with the reflector. Like there's a light here, she's got that triangle on her cheek. Like how amazing is that? Like that's a beautiful shot. Okay, whatever, I'm not gonna do this right now. But you could see the shadow side of her cheek isn't as dark as this. So that, I would try to do loop lighting, but I consider loop lighting more Rembrandt than Rembrandt is because it's obviously too contrasty and moody for stuff that we want to shoot on Instagram. For posing too, how bland is this shot? They're like two pieces of wood boards. And then the photographer is just like, okay, no, look, like do this. Okay, bend your knee a little more. You know how like women love bending their knee in photos and stuff? Making it, so yeah. they get it, but like, look at, there's like triangles, it's more intimate. Instead of, oh, like hold each other and hug each other. My job as a photographer is to be like, that's gonna suck. Okay, I got the lighting down, I got the settings down on my camera, but I now also have to tell the models or the subjects to move in a certain way that looks more interesting. Obviously, this is a more interesting shot than this. This is stupid, this is bland. There's a little bit of a sliver of a triangle here. There's the bend of her arm here. It's a little more intimate, and that's what you want to show. Okay, so Melissa wants to shoot in this corner. I turn that red light on. I think it's kind of cool. She does like, you know, kind of, we're gonna put it on the couch. So let's move this over. And then she's gonna sit here. And then let's put the disco ball right here so it could be to the right of her shoulder. Okay, so the lava lamp. Okay, actually I need, this isn't gonna, is it gonna work? I don't wanna make it fall. Oh, you're fine, you're fine. You can leave it there. Okay, wait, never mind. The fucking lava lamp's not working. But we can leave it here. Do you want these toys out of the way, Melissa?
This is working. This up one.
Oh, the upper one's working?
Or it's broken itself.
I think it's broken. So you want these toys out of the way, you think?
It's fine. There's
They're
a
fine?
little mini disco ball.
Yeah, I just brought this over from over there. I think it's cool.
This one.
And then,
My energy is like quirky.
okay, so let's put this here. You're tall. Can you grab this painting and put this here? Great. So then, if she's close, further enough away, this will be depth, and those, yeah, does that fit? Barely. Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. Cool. So those Vogues will be out of focus. We'll hopefully, you know, pretend it's more like astro stuff. So we're going to have the light here on her, but let's check the lens and see if it looks better, if the right cheek's lit or the left cheek's lit. Maybe we'll see if these can go here. Obviously, that light is pretty light. So this is almost the same color. It might look cool if we do this together. Yeah, that kind of looks cool. Is that okay lighting? Or do you want it orange? You want to filter through and give her options, let her see. So let's look at the camera. Oh yeah, that looks really cool. So, Melissa, how tight do you want the shot? Just like waist up, or you want it more just like chest up?
Whatever looks you think will look good.
Okay, because I'm going to switch lenses, but
And glasses or no glasses?
we'll see the glare in the frame and see what looks best.
the blue looks nice, but I don't know because I have blue, but maybe something else, right? Another color.
I don't mind the blue and the red together. I think that looks kind of cool. Maybe we'll do one more light on the other side, or maybe we can, because the,
Yeah, beautiful because blue and red on the border they mix and they are purple.
Yeah.
Exactly.
and it's reflecting on the, that's really cool. So maybe we can do another tube light with something on the other side of her. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna change lenses, guys, and then, because this is way too wide. So I'm gonna go to my 50 millimeter.
This one doesn't stand though, doesn't have a stand.
Yes, it, oh, it doesn't?
That one does, this one does.
Okay, so let's switch them. Because that one's, is that one standing okay without the stand?
Oh, I think we can balance it.
Yeah, let's, okay,
Definitely balance it. But
let's
we
balance it. Let's see. So
Put it in the.
let's maybe put,
It's in the outlet.
yeah, and or we could just leave it against the couch if it's going to be out of focus. All right, so this, there's more light here, but like this would be cool to light. So I have a smaller like LED. So I would put this like maybe here, and then it could give that some depth. Bounce on the disco ball. We'll see what looks good in the frame, or maybe. I just don't want to see the light, but I want to see the effect of the light. So we can play around with that.
Do you want both blue?
Yeah, we were doing the red, I think.
Okay, so let's look at the frame. Do this. Slava, can you help him with the table too? Because the table holds it in to the couch. You got it? Yes, perfect. No, yeah, right there. Actually, a centimeter back.
2 millimeters back.
Perfect, perfect. That looks great.
Yeah.
So I would probably, if you guys want to look together, these red lines are just called focus assist. That's a LUT too. So when I know it's going to color grade, the red light's just to let me know it's in focus.
It makes her more tanned.
Yeah, with this, it's shooting in RAW, so I can make it. So that's RAW, but just to give me a sense of how a color grading is going to go. So if I can change the color temperature on my light, I will change it more blue. And then let's go to, this is so perfect for your brand. You're going to love this. Does somebody want to take a photo of this so you can show her? And I'm going to take the focus assist lines off. Actually, let me double check the focus this way. Yep, look at her nose ring and her earrings. Perfect. Well, you want to take a photo of that?
The more
Yep,
center.
and you drag the fucking sun down. Perfect. You know, you get it. Yeah, you have to not tap the square again or it'll do it. So it's a little wider than I want, but we can crop in. It's shooting in 4K. That's cool. So we got that
there a
complete
front camera?
separation.
No.
So there's nothing behind it. And you're not looking for that space. But I love
It's exactly the
red
20
looks
centimeters.
here.
I just measured my
Here,
head.
it's 20
It
centimeters.
looks very cosmic. We still think it's more entertaining than the art looks. You happy?
And then see, yeah.
Yeah, I think that looks good. Yeah. Let me just change the color temperature of this because you are a little orange.
So nice. Very nice one.
Okay, that's more orange. Okay. How's her skin look now? Is it less orange?
It's about the same now.
The rain light's probably overpowering it. So let me change.
It looks a lot better though.
Oh, there we go. See, so sometimes
that's
when you
orange.
can't change the settings, it's on oranger now, and then it's on bluer. How does that look?
That's good.
That's better than.
Cool. So we're gonna mic her up, and you have no jewelry, so it's not gonna clink and clank, which is great. Nobody's worried about my neck. Okay, so where is your scene, in the bathroom or outside? Because I don't want the door to open when you hear a motorcycle. Alright, just stay out here for a bit, okay? Unless you want to come in, because when we start recording, I don't want to hear the door open. So just say it. Yeah, just say it. Perfect. Okay. So you see, how does it look? You want to look at the shot? How does it look? Oh wow. Cool, right?
Yes, very cool.
All right. So I'm thinking just a slight move to the left because there's a little more nose shadow than I'd like, right? So you want to tell me how much to move it is? Yes. Is that better?
A little bit. Can go more to
More center? Is that better?
yes, but come to see because of course there is a little bit different.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's better. It's a little
Yeah.
more even.
But
Yeah.
yes, we can do better or do you
No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Because that before you saw how long the
yeah,
shadow
so,
was.
yeah.
It's still a triangle. See, there's a shade here. There's still a shade, but that's good.
Fact of the reason I'm asking like if we can go more. We can the took of like cut this darkness with like just the light should be more close or not?
No, I think it's good. I mean, I could bring it a little closer. The one thing I'd want to, if I want to eliminate some of the shadow, yeah, you want to give the script to somebody, they can bring it back to you.
Oh, yeah,
I
I just
have
want
like a white bounce here, but we don't have too much stuff.
Do you mind if I post that?
Ask her.
Oh, sure.
Yeah?
As long as it's not the one that I'm.
Yeah, that was yeah, not the screenshot where you're making like the face. Okay, so who wants to read the lines back to her, right? Because I think it's gonna be quicker than a teleprompter.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Because sometimes it moves
I'm
too
just
fast,
nervous.
and then you want to just
My
get
head
through
is
it.
just like I'm not secure with the script, but I'm like whatever.
So brief.
You know,
Whatever.
when ChatGPT gives you so many options.
Oh,
you're
which
like,
one
what
did
the
you
hell?
do?
No, I think I chose the one that with your prompt.
Perfect,
but
perfect.
Still.
Okay, so you want to read back the script for her? Give her 2 sentences. If it's a long sentence, you can repeat one. If you do 2 takes of everything, we should be good. Huh? All right.